pedagogy, knowing your craft, knowing what it means to teach a kid based on explicit instruction. But now we have these mandated lists, and some of us are stuck with things that we may not be able to change. And, we hear on different podcasts and so forth that this really had great results, and yet these things aren't on the list. So, what should we practitioners do in the field if we're given something that may not produce or show evidence of producing the best outcomes for children?
Yeah, it's really, really difficult. I mean, in the UK, so I'm Irish. I've been living in London for 25 years. We uh, various approaches came into focus about 10 years ago, and they were broadly speaking aligned with cognitive science. Um, so I think looking back, and it kind of happened at two levels. So one level obviously was at a governmental level, but we shouldn't underestimate that grassroots power. And your podcast, I think, is one of those things that's extremely powerful because it gives a real voice to teachers. It's spoken in a language that teachers understand. Um, I think the field of education research, to go back to my idea about my point about this, neoliberal hogwash, all of that stuff is not, most teachers just are not interested in that. They just don't understand it. They can't even read it. It's not anything it doesn't speak to their kind of experience. So things like your podcast, things like you have a movement called Research Ed, which is a really powerful movement. It came out of the UK. There's lots of chapters in the US as well. They're teachers coming together with academics to talk about research and talk about the science of learning. Even things like the Soul the Story podcast. These are things that are really having an impact on the ground. And it's difficult in the US, I think, because you have all these different states all kind of doing their own thing and all kind of doing, very different things. But at some point, somebody's got to look at some of those successful, for example, those reading programs and think, well, wow, what's happening in Mississippi?